and trust me, you really feel it. It's a waste of money. The importance of prioritizing how you're going to revise. Not everyone in medical school is a genius. I will really stress this one. You cannot physically learn everything at medical school. Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. For those of you that don't know, my name is Lotte and I'm a first going into second year medical student at the University of Leeds. This time last year, I just received my A-level results and I was over the moon at the fact that I had passed chemistry and made it into medical school. But with that excitement also came a lot of nerves, and I quickly hit up YouTube and found all the medical school tips, study tips, and just watched every single video I could, and I can't say how much they helped me. So here I am to give you some medical school insiders. I feel like I've learned quite a lot from my first year, and whilst there has been ups and downs, I've definitely learnt a few things along the way that helps to reduce the downs and increase the ups. So I'm going to share with you 10 things that I wish I knew before medical school, and I really hope they can help you and help settle those nerves. And I hope you enjoy this video. The first piece of advice I can give you is to pace yourself. Remember, in university, you don't always have a half term. Some universities do have a reading week, which I guess is technically a half term. However, a lot of them don't, and Leeds does not have a reading week for medical students. And trust me, you really feel it if you're working at 100% and then you're waiting for that half term where you can chill, catch up on any notes, catch up on any work that you've not done. But the half term never comes, so it's really, really important that you pace yourself. The second thing that I wish I knew before medical school, and I'm sure so many med students will say this to you, is that there is no need for textbooks. You will be advised by your lecturers and your professors to get loads of different textbooks. You can find these textbooks in the libraries. Sometimes there's online libraries that you can access them as well. And there are so many amazing online resources, so you definitely don't need to be spending £70 per textbook. It is a waste of money. Yes, there's a couple that are useful, and I would probably recommend maybe like an anatomy textbook or something, or a colouring anatomy textbook. They're the best. However, all of the biomed books, the physiology books, you don't need to buy all of them. As I said, there's loads of amazing online resources, and one that I particularly love is Pastest. They're a great online question bank. They have thousands of questions and they've helped thousands of medical students, whether it be first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth year exams. Their questions can be tailored for difficulty for all the different types of exams. So your finals, your OSCE prep, your situational judgment test that comes at the end of medical school, and so much more. And one of my favourite things about Pastest is their pictures that they have in their questions. So you can do almost like a spot diagnosis test, and it just improves your ability to identify different diagnoses and different signs and symptoms, which I think is super useful. Not only that, but they have really great explanations. They have expanded explanations with a more detailed overview, or shorter explanations as well. And Pastest is constantly adding new features, so I would really recommend checking out Pastest. They're a great online resource and one that will definitely help you with your first year and beyond in medical school. The third thing that I really wish I knew before medical school is the importance of prioritizing how you're going to revise over trying to make sure that you get all your notes done, your lecture notes complete, your flashcards complete, all of these extra things. It is much more valuable to learn your revision method that you're going to use. So I would advise having a rough idea of how you're going to revise before you go to medical school, like if you want to use Quizlet or Anki, for example. However, do not be afraid to change your method halfway through the year. There is no shame in completely changing how you want to study if you know that another method is going to work better for you. I definitely didn't do this, and I prioritized getting all of my notes complete, whereas I should have prioritized how I was going to actually revise when it came to the exams. I really wish I just prioritized flashcards and question banks, such as using Pastest, because it would have been so much more efficient, as opposed to trying to get all of my lecture notes written but then not actually remembering any of them. The fourth tip I have for you is to keep in mind that not everyone in medical school is a genius. I know this can be really easy to have this perception, and I'm definitely guilty of this. And imposter syndrome is very real, and it's something that so many medical students suffer from. And I feel like that alone should be quite reassuring, because it means that everybody's in the same position. We're all scared that everybody around us is like, you know, a bunch of geniuses, but that is not the case. Everybody is a genius in their own right, and yes, the people in medical school are very smart because you're doing medicine. However, that does not mean that you're any less smart than somebody else on your course. You're all in medical school, you've all made it, and you've all made it through different paths. Because when you're there, you're going to be around people who have already done degrees, foundation entry, grad entry, mature students. There are so many different types of people there, so there is no point comparing yourself, even though it's, you know, easier said than done. But just try and keep that in mind, that you're all just as valuable as each other and just as smart as each other, because at the end of the day, you got there. Tip number 5, and I will really stress this one, you cannot physically learn everything at medical school. You're going to be fed so much content, and it's just going to keep on hitting you every day. There'll be so many lectures, and you can't physically learn it all, and that's okay, and you're not expected to learn it all. It's not like A-levels or in school where you learn a set amount of content and you can actually learn and understand it. This is going to be a lot all at once. So it's better to have a general understanding of everything and try and organize your understanding. So for example, if you're learning about a condition, try and understand what causes it, the treatment, how you diagnose it, etc., as opposed to trying to remember every single fact they tell you or every single fact you read, because it's physically impossible. And I mean, if it is possible, then you must be the geniuses that I was referring to, which do not exist, may I add. The 6th thing that I wish I knew before medical school is something that's quite obvious, but still came as a big shock to me when I was actually in my lectures, is that for the majority of your lectures, your professors will keep changing, because you have people who specialize in certain things or they've done research in certain areas, and they're the ones that will be teaching you the content. And coming from somebody who relied a lot on my teachers for academic validation, as I'm sure many others do, it can be very strange going from that to having no personal connection with your professors, and like all they know you by is a student ID. They don't even know your name. So it's a very weird feeling, and you have to become much more intrinsically motivated and able to validate and reassure yourself, which is a big learning curve if you're like me and you relied a lot on kind of other people to keep you going academically, if that makes sense. Sticking to the theme of lectures, the 7th thing that I found very strange about medical school and universities in general is a lot of people don't turn up to lectures. And whether the lecture is compulsory or not, there will be always a handful of people, if not more, who don't actually do the lectures. And this isn't something that is rare. It's very common, obviously, in university for people to miss the occasional lecture. But there is some people who view lectures as entirely as additional information, almost like a textbook. And if that works for you and your university allow that, then you do you, but make sure that you aren't pressured by like your friends, your peers into missing lectures just because they're missing lectures. If you genuinely think they're going to help you, then make sure that you do what works for you and you attend those lectures. I personally need to attend the lectures to get all the information because that just works for me, whereas others, I know they don't find them beneficial at all and they'd rather look through a set of learning objectives and just learn from those. So make sure you do what works for you and don't feel pressured to do one or the other just because your friends are. My neighbours are having a very loud barbecue next door, so I do apologise if there is any background noise of cheering, screaming, not quite sure. The final 3 things I'm going to be talking about are a little bit more to do with the type of people you're going to be surrounded by. So one thing that I kind of found quite surprising was that medical students are not just one genre of people. Everybody is very different. I don't know why I'd had it in my head that there was like a certain characteristic and personality traits that you associate with medical students. And yes, there is a lot of like-minded people, and compared to school where everybody is very different and has different plans in life, you will find a lot more like-minded people in medical school. However, there isn't just one genre of medical student. You've got lots of different types of people. So don't be afraid of not being able to make friends. If you have this idea that everybody's going to be a genius and maybe you're not going to fit in, then just get that out of your head. It's not the case. You will definitely find people who are like-minded to you. The 9th thing that I wish somebody had told me before medical school was that it's okay to have your own revision technique and to be inspired by your peers' revision techniques, but there is no need to feel inadequate if your revision method is very different to someone else. If you like to handwrite your notes, then go ahead. If you like to make flashcards, go ahead. And don't be afraid to be inspired by others and bring their methods into yours, but you don't need to change your method just because everybody else seems to be doing something else. If everybody's using Anki flashcards but you don't like Anki, that's fine. Do what works for you and that's okay. And also keep in mind that some people just pick up certain topics or theories much quicker than others, but there will be things that you understand quicker than your friends and vice versa, and that's completely fine. We all have different brains, we all process things differently, so there is no need for comparison. Again, easier said than done, but just try your best not to compare because you're only going to make things harder for yourself, and they're already hard enough, so they really don't need to be made any worse. The final thing, and probably one of the most important things to keep in mind when you go into medical school, is that yes, it can be quite a competitive course. I think the people that do medicine are naturally quite competitive just because of the nature of the application process. And the chances are you're going to meet a lot of people who tell you that they don't revise, that they've not done any revision for the test, that they've not done any work, not gone to any lectures. But most of the time that's probably not true. Everybody got there for the same reason, because they worked hard, they got the grades, and they put in the effort in the application process. So you're not around a group of people who don't care. So if somebody's telling you they've not revised, it may not be the full truth. You probably don't know the full picture. So try not to compare yourself to people saying they've not revised. And you know, you're going to be with these people for 5+ years. So if you're that person who sees everything as a competition, I would highly recommend trying not to, and trying to find some way to not compare yourself in a competitive manner, because as I said in the previous thing, it's just going to make it harder for you. Try and be nice, don't gatekeep your notes, try and help your friends. At the end of the day, you're all going to be doctors, you're all going into a very impressive career, and yeah, just be nice and be your own competition. That's the best thing you can do. Of course, it doesn't help that medical school, the way it works, and you're like ranked against your peers, but is that really such a big thing? Like, surely being a nice person and a good doctor is going to get you further than being one spot higher on a ranking table. Obviously, people view that differently, but each to their own. Just try and be nice, be your own competition. And that's all I can say. So if you have any questions about medical school, please do pop them in the comments or send me an email, or follow me on my medical Instagram, which is Lotte Stoll with 3 L's. I would love to chat to you all anytime. If you want some advice, if you have a question, anything at all, please do get in touch. I would love to speak with you all. And if you're going into medical school in this upcoming September, or even next year or the year after, wherever you're at in your application, then I wish you all the very best of luck. It's going to be okay. Just hang in there. You'll be fine, and all the best. And I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you so much for watching.